This is an electric fan made by the C&C Electric Motor Company of New York. It was founded by Charles Curtis and Charles Crocker in 1883 and produced electric motors for a variety of applications. This fan was created in 1887. It was considered by many to be the very first electric fan. That's not actually true because there were a couple of fans that preceded it. This was, however, the first to be produced in any mass quantity. Although even then, sales were very small because very few homes were wired for electricity at that point, and only in big cities. Homes that were wired for electricity only had lighting. There were no outlets for appliances because appliances simply didn't exist. This probably was really the first application of a home appliance. Consequently, the fan was powered by screwing a socket plug in place of a lamp. It has a bipolar motor powered at 110 volts DC. Alternating current virtually didn't exist at that stage. It didn't come into general use until later in the 1890s. The motor that was used was actually designed for sewing machines. C&C decided in 1887 to adapt it to a fan by simply adding what they called propeller blades. Well, you'll notice in this early engraving that the field coils are on top. This was designed to have the armature at the bottom to minimize vibration when it's used as a sewing machine motor. Using it as a fan created a bit of a problem because it had to be clamped to a shelf in order to have enough space for the blades to overhang. This was certainly not very practical for use as a fan. C&C soon realized there was a better option. In the September 1887 issue of The Electrician and Electrical Engineer, it was published that the C&C Electric Motor Company have got up a complete motor and fan outfit for use on electric light circuits. The motor is inverted, thus making a base of the neutral position or yoke of the field magnets. The armature shaft is thus elevated sufficiently to give the 12-inch propeller fan clearance so as to avoid belting. A key socket is placed on top, in which can be inserted either a short circuit plug or a lamp of proper resistance. Automatic fans are an agreeable subject nowadays. As indicated by the article, the bulb on the fan is actually not intended to be used for lighting. It's rather peculiar given that it runs off of a light bulb circuit, but the bulb really served only as a resistor to control the speed. The fan motor being made for sewing machines was really too fast, and the simplest solution for slowing it down was to add resistance in the circuit, and the easiest way to do that was simply to insert a light bulb. The socket was made by Bergman and Company of New York. Sigmund Bergman was an associate of Thomas Edison and manufactured a number of electrical parts for him from the very beginning of Edison's career in the electrical industry. It doesn't operate like modern sockets in that it doesn't have a switch that controls continuity through the line cord. Turning the paddle raises a tongue which touches the bottom of the bulb. Safety was not a particularly big concern at the time. This has exposed electrical wiring all over. The connections from the main power cord are simply bolts on the side of the motor, and accidentally touching those could give one a pretty terrible shock. And of course, there's no cage around the blades to protect them from fingers being accidentally inserted, so it requires a considerable amount of care to not get injured while operating a fan like this. The bulb that you see here is actually contemporary to the fan. It dates to 1887, 1888. And it's really quite surprising that something as fragile and delicate as a bulb of that age is still in working condition after 125 years. If the bulb is replaced by what was called then a short circuit plug, or a common fuse today, there's no electrical resistance and the motor runs at full power. With its lamp resistance, exposed bipolar motor, exposed blades, very Victorian cast iron base with claw feet, the C&C is altogether a highly unusual and very interesting fan.